Well, it's wonderful speaking to the athletes each and every day here in Paris, but I've been looking forward to this chat all throughout these games. I'm a huge fan of this man. I admire him from afar. I haven't had a chance to really work with him, but this is a massive, massive thrill for me. He is the one and only, the inimitable, the often imitated, never duplicated Scott Russell, the host of these Olympic Games, covering his 17th Olympics.
Why don't you just keep the accolades
coming? I will.
I mean,
there's so many
I've never
awards.
had an introduction like
so
that.
many awards, I can hardly list them all. But yes, he is the host of these games for CBC, and will be calling it a career at CBC on September 8th, I do believe. You'll be signing off from here at the closing ceremony on Sunday evening, then covering the Paralympic Games from back home in Toronto. It's so great to see you. Thank you so much for the time.
Great to be with you, Ariel, and thanks for coming up to our wonderful spot here on the roof of the Olympic Games. The TV tower right over there, the Eiffel Tower, it's absolutely fantastic. A bird's eye view, love it up here.
You've been doing such a great job of telling the stories of these athletes here in Paris, and how many stories we've had to talk about, right? Magical night after magical night. How have you been able to separate just covering the Games, 17th, but also the emotion of it being your last time in this role?
Well, you know what? I'm immersed in the Games, Ariel, as I always get immersed in the Games. And sometimes you have to put your emotions aside so that you can tell the stories of the athletes that you were talking about. And really, the Games aren't about me, right? They're about the athletes. And that's why I love telling the stories about people like Cameron Rogers or Ethan Katzberger, Summer McIntosh, or Eleanor Harvey, who wins a medal for Canada in fencing for the first time. That's what the Games are about. It's about the athletes, these extraordinary people that are able to do such wonderful things, and that's what I love about the Olympics.
And your passion and your love for the Olympics really comes through. Like now, when you're on TV, and I read that you recently said, if I could be remembered for something, it's just how much I believe in the Olympics, how much I love the Olympics. Why do they mean so much to you?
Well, I guess it's because I believe in the ideal. And the ideal of the Olympics is about excellence, respect, and friendship. And to me, if that's the ideal of the Games, that's unassailable. That's what the aim of the Games is to do, is to be excellent, be full of respect, and to make friends. I mean, I think that's a noble goal. The Olympics, Ariel, as you know, are not perfect, but they try to be.
Yes.
And that's what's great about them.
It's interesting. I believe your first Games were 1988 Seoul, correct?
Yeah, that's right.
Perhaps one of the darkest Olympics for Canada.
You know what? It was really interesting because in '88 in Seoul, I was covering tennis. And that's when tennis came back onto the Olympic program. And I remember being there and calling the match as Steffi Graf won the Golden Grand Slam. She'd won everything else. But we stayed in the media village. And I was a runner back then. And I had a Canadian backpack. And I ran back to the media village, through the Olympic Park. And people were cheering for me the day after Ben Johnson won.
Wow.
Because they knew I was Canadian, and they're going, yes, Canada wins the 100 meters. And it was great. And then I was woken up in the middle of the night in my dormitory, phone call from someone in Reuters in London who said, tell me about Ben Johnson. And I said, well, it's fantastic. The whole country is celebrating, and the guys won the gold medal. No, I want to stop you right there. You don't understand. He's tested positive. And they knew in the West before we knew on the ground in Korea. We were all asleep, and it was a roller coaster, Ariel. It was devastating for us.
And perhaps there's some beautiful symbolism to the fact that in one of your last days as host, the Canadian men, I know it's not a singular 100 meters, but what they did on Friday, I mean, how great was that? That has to be one of the most thrilling things you've seen.
Absolutely fantastic. And see those four guys come together, and we spent some time with Aaron Brown, and he's a professional. He has to feed his family by what he does. He's the leadoff man, and he takes his job very seriously. And I don't know, you watched the race as I did. Aaron Brown blasted off that start line, and he got the Canadians into a great lead before he passed it off to Jerome Blake. And then Brendan Rodney did his job, and Andre DeGrasse brought it home. But Aaron Brown was the guy that fired the team, and it was fantastic.
It was. This is fantastic as well. What a treat. This is where you've been hosting each and every single night, right?
This is the TV tower, and when I left Toronto, they told me that this space was going to be about half the size it actually is. But yeah, we do everything from there. We've got a remote camera, and we've got the best backdrop in the world, the Eiffel Tower, which was built for the World's Fair. They were going to tear it down. They were going to tear the Eiffel Tower down because they didn't want this monstrosity anymore. Then the Parisians fell in love with it, and it's been there ever since. This is the Olympic Games. And, you know, it's here that the modern games were first envisioned, 1894 at the Sorbonne, de Coubertin, you know, and they revived the Olympic spirit. It's great.
I have to say, from afar, you still have your fastball. You're still throwing 97, 98 out there.
You know,
any chance of all this making you fall in love with it? You know what, I'll stick around. Perhaps I'll be there in LA.
You know what, I will probably not be around in the same role that I'm in. I hope to be still involved. I'm on the board at the International Center for Olympic Studies at Western University in London. I don't know if I'll be back here in the same role. I still love the Olympics. That'll never go away, Ariel. It's just too good.
Yeah, that is very clear. Okay, we have to let you go. For those at home, like, what do you do in the final moments before you go live? Like, what's Scott Russell do to get into that, you know, Josh Allen game face mode?
I get on my computer, my laptop. It's called iNews.
Okay.
I look what I'm going to say at the top of the show. Jen Haynes, who's been writing all that good stuff for me, and it all comes out of my mouth. And I hope not, Ariel. I hope not to screw it up.
You have yet to do so.
Yeah, because we're at the Olympic Games. It's great.
Amazing. What an honor. Thank you so much. Congratulations on an incredible run, and enjoy the final moments of these games. And good luck with the Paralympic Games as well.
Thank you very much, Ariel. Great to meet you.
Go Bills.
Paris Tonight is brought to you by Smart Water.